Namaste, one and all, dear 10th standard students. I am teaching about the subject history. Please subscribe my YouTube channel, which is Smart 19, dear students. The first chapter is the advent of Europeans to India. We learn about the following in this chapter. First point is the trade and commerce relationship India had with Europeans. Second point, the arrival of Europeans to India for trade. Third point, the Carnatic Wars in the backdrop of European political developments. Fourth point is Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar and dual government system. Fifth point, the British policy of aggression. In this lesson, there were trade and commerce relations between India and Europe since ancient times. There was great demand for Indian pepper, cumin, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, and many other spices in Europe. The trade relationship between India, Europe, and other Asian countries continued even during the Middle Ages. The Arab merchants carried Asian merchandise to Constantinople of Eastern European means Byzantium Empire. The Italian merchants would buy these goods and then sell them in European countries. Constantinople was thus the center of international trade and was considered as the gateway of European trade. While Arab merchants had gained monopoly over the trade in ancient countries and Asian countries, Italian traders had gained monopoly over trade in Europe. The merchandise from Asia brought good profits to Italian merchants. Dear students, have this lesson. Write the comments. Please subscribe my YouTube channel, which is Smart 19. This point, the fall of Constantinople, very important in history. The trade and commerce between Asia and European was carried on the place through the city of Constantinople. As a result, all the trade routes connecting the city of Constantinople came under the control of Turks. The Turks started levying to many taxes on the goods passing through these routes. As a result, trade became unprofitable. Meanwhile, Spain, Portugal, and other European rules were attempt to break the monopoly of Italian traders. They started encouraging enterprising sailors to find a new sea route to India. The invention of compass, astrolabes, and gunpowder provided further impetus to this venture. A new sea route to India. This point. Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor, left Lisbon and reached Kappadu near Calicut on the west coast of India in 1498. Thus, he was successful in discovering a new sea route to India. This route continued to be the route of trade between India and Europe for many years. The Portuguese were thus the first to be established trade between India and Europe. Next point is European trade companies. With the success of the Portuguese, the Dutch, French, and the English arrived in India for trade. This development not only changed the history of India, it also changed the history of European countries. First one is the Portuguese. The Portuguese were the first to arrive in India for trade and were also the last to leave India by the sea route. After Vasco da Gama, Francis de Almeida arrived in India as the viceroy of the Portuguese. He implemented blue water policy, very important in examination purpose. Blue water policy in order to establish the supremacy over the sea instead of supremacy over land. Alfonso de Albuquerque, who came after Almeida, is considered as the real founder of Portuguese power in India. He waged a battle against the Sultan. Goa became the administrative center of the Portuguese administration in India. The Portuguese had absolute monopoly over trade with India for a country, but their power declined with the arrival of English and French in India. Next point is the rise and decline of the Dutch in India. In 1602, the Dutch East India Company came to India and established trading center at Surat, Bharuch, Kambe, Cochin, Nagapattanam, Machilipattanam and Chinsur. In the parties of Kerala, the one who lived in the most important place and rescued an important principality from the foreigners was Raja Martanda Varma of Wayanad. He ruled from 1729 to 1758 and saved from the surrounding rules as well as foreigners. He made this as a great kingdom among all. He stood against the foreigners who were greedy of favor and brought many reforms to administration. He shifted his capital from Padmanabhapura to Tiruvanantapura and made his kingdom as word Travancore provinces. There were confused and chaos in this kingdom. Before Marthandavarma came to throne, earlier ruler Ramavarma was very weak. The Dutch East India Company possessed a strong military power and had greater ambition in the politics. The surrounding rulers were also strong. The foreigners of Wayanad made rulers Rama Varma weak. Even at the tender age of 10, Marthandavarma suggested strategies to his maternal uncle Ramavarma for the rise of the province. Yes, for that Ramavarma contacted Pandyas of Madurai. This made the Palegars to keep quiet. This is how Marthandavarma came to prominence at the young age only. After Ramavarma at the age of 24 years, Marthandavarma came to the throne. He completed an army of 50,000 soldiers to extend the border who were trying to monopolize was defeated by Marthandavarma. He controlled the surrounding areas and made them to opposite to the Dutch. The Dutch helped the provinces like Kayamkulam, Kochi, Purkkad and Vada Kokonur attacked on Travancore. Raja Martanda defeated them and captured Nedamangala and Kotarkara trading centers. He also wrote a strong letter to the Dutch that they would never give up the trade rights of papers to any foreigners. In 1741, the Dutch declared war on Travancore with Kottarakar's province in the forefront. Some of the local provinces has joined the Dutch, but Marthandavarma's army strongly sent it back. The Dutch came back to Cochin, but with help of Simmalis Fars, the Dutch attacks Martandavarma for days. Serious battle took place from 10th August battle and 24 important. 10th August 1741 at Kolachal. Finally, Travancore army had an afraid in the battle of and 24 important. Officers of the Dutch were taken as prisoners. The Dutch su- suffered huge losses after the battle. It did not keep quiet. It decided the route out the Dutch from India and established the trade routes of papers in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. He also got back the forts which were in the control of the Dutch. Cochin was recognized as a center of spicy trade. During the period of Martandavarma, Travancore became the richest province. Finally, on the 15th August 1753, a treaty was signed and the Dutch forces surrounded its power to the Travancore province. This is how the period of Martandavarma has been recognized as an important phase in the history of India, the rise of English in India, and the acquisition of the island of Southeast Asia by the Dutch were the factor for the decline of the Dutch power in India. Next, the English on 31st December 16th century, Queen Elizabeth issued the Royal Charter authorizing the East India Company to trade with Eastern countries for 15 years. The company started the trade formally in 1613. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir issued a royal permission to English to establish their first warehouse or factory at Surat. In 1617, Sir Thomas Roe arrived at the court of Jahangir as the royal ambassador from the court of James I. He sought permission from the Jahangir to establish factories in other places of Mughal empires. The English established factories at Agra, Ahmedabad, and Bharuch in 1639. The English took Madras from the king of Chandragiri and established a strong fort named St. George Fort. Later, Charles II, the Prince of England, very important, gave Bombay an annual rent of 10 pounds of East India Company in 1668. In 1690, the English purchased three villages, namely Sutanavati, Calicut, and Govindapura on the banks of Hooghly River and built Fort William. The city of Calicut grew around this fort. By the end of 17th century. The English had established Bombay, Madras, and Calicut as the center of their presidencies. By the later part of 18th century, in English-made Calicut, their capital city, they implemented their own civil and criminal procedures courts in the areas that were under their control. Next, last ambassador, the Frenches. The French's East India Company started as a government-owned company in 1664. It started its first factory at Surat in the year of 1668. Later, they established its factories in Machilipattanam, Chandranagar, Mahe, Karaikal, Kasim Bazar, Balsor in 1674. The French took Wali Kandapuram from the local Muslim official and developed it as a major trade centers. Later it came to be known as Puducherry or Pondicherry. This became the capital of French till they left India. Dupleix, who arrived 1746 in Pondicherry as the Governor General of the French, had the high ambitions of establishing the French as a major power in South India. These ambitions led to the Carnatic Wars with the English and French. Closing this video, how is lesson? Please comment and share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you, and all guys and dear students.